NZXT are back with the second generation of their function keyboards, Function 2. These have had a lot of changes over the previous generation, so get comfy and I'll tell you all about them after I quickly pay some bills with this sponsor message. If you're fed up with the high costs from the Microsoft Office suite or incompatibility and formatting problems from trying alternative solutions, then look no further than Truly Office. Truly Office offers software for document processing, spreadsheets and slides for both Windows and Mac, with cloud support, seamless integration, regular updates and data privacy protection as standard. With lifetime licenses and affordable options for students, business users and whole households, Truly Office is a fantastic, affordable, one-time purchase alternative to the competitors. It's also backed with tons of 5-star reviews and with 24/7 support, and like Kelly Rowland, you're not going to be left on spread. Visit the link in the description box to learn more and use code ASH15 at checkout to save an additional 15%. So NZXT are releasing 2 new models of their Function 2 keyboards at launch, a full size and a mini TKL. No normal TKL at this point, but there's always a chance we'll see one of those further down the line. NZXT are also releasing 2 new mice which I'll be reviewing in the next video, so if you're not already, get subscribed and dig the bell so you don't miss when they go live. So back to the keyboards. Unlike the last generation of keyboard, both of these models are available in fully black or fully white, unlike the white with black keys or black with white keys that we saw previously. And in case you're wondering, I've got a UK layout, but they've printed a US on the box, so it's easier to keep the same layout for every region. Alongside different colour options, we've also seen a lot of internal changes and upgrades to the function as well, and NZXT are now using Swift optical switches and 8000Hz polling rate over the Gateron Reds and 1000Hz we saw in the previous model. They have a 40-gram actuation force and also an adjustable actuation point and a 0.2 millisecond response rate. And last but not least, they're also hot swappable, but more on that later. Let's get into the box and I'll tell you about the other changes to the keyboard as we go. Inside you'll find identical accessories for the full-size keyboard and the mini TKL, with the exception of the wrist rest, which just comes with the full-size model. Included are a braided colour-matched USB-A to USB-C cable, keycap puller, switch remover and 8 spare switches, 4 35g and 4 45g. Looking at the keyboard's face on, minus the colour changes to the keycaps that I previously mentioned, the keyboards retain a very similar experience to the previous generation. On the left side you'll see a rubber volume scroll wheel with a bumpy texture which is tactile when rotated, and below we have a mute, a Windows lock key and an RGB brightness button. The RGB on this defaults to rainbow wave, but you do have hardware modes available in the keyboard. These are accessible by pressing the function buttons and then F1 to F4. We also have some media keys on the print screen, scroll look and pause buttons, which are also toggled by using the function key. There are also changes inside of the keyboard as well. We now have plane mounted stabilizers for smooth quiet keystrokes, a dual layer of sound isolating foam to reduce unwanted pinging noises, and also a tape mod PCB to reduce the hollowness and improve the sound. Of course we'll have a sound test later on in the video, but all of these changes certainly make the board feel better and more rigid. On the underside of the keyboard we've got lots of rubber pads to prevent the keyboard from moving on the desk, and it also has 2 stages of angle adjustment, both of which have got rubber to again prevent movement. Onto the keycaps, and as I mentioned before, they're double shot PBT and they feel miles better than the previous ABS. I find ABS keycaps to get greasy so quickly, whereas the PBT just resists that, and also the texture is so much better and the typing is nice and smooth. Where the optical switches have got a lower actuation point, it makes them great for typing as well as gaming, and it's been a pleasure to use. Going back to the original function to do the same thing just feels rather clunky in comparison. Underneath they're still using Gateron switches, but they're certainly a step above the Reds, and if you want to change any of them out you simply pop off the keycap with the included puller, then use the removal tool above and below, squeeze and then pull. It can be a little bit hard to pull out, that's what he said, but it will come out, so just persist with that. Then just pick your preferred switch to replace it with. The yellows are 35g and the reds are 45g. Make sure the text is upright and then push it in and then replace the cap. I can see a lot of people replacing the WSD keys, especially if you want a tactile feeling where the keys are. There's not enough switches included to replace the entire lot, but that's something you theoretically could do if you want the looks of the keyboard with the caps but just a different switch. For those of you that want to hear how the optical switches sound, here's the part for you, and I'll also include the original function as well. Quickly covering the wrist rest for those wondering, it's a rubber style hard wrist rest and has got a magnet inside to keep it attached to the keyboard. NZXT say it will auto center, but the amount of rubber that's underneath might resist that, but it's no big deal. Quickly looking at CAM before we move on to the conclusion. Here we have also options to change the lighting modes, customize RGB, create macros and rebind keys. There's also the option to adjust the activation point of the keyboard from the default 1mm to 1.5. I've tried both, but I prefer the 1mm as I can type a lot faster and I don't have to worry about pressing the keys most of the way down. If you want to use the 8000Hz polling, you need to enable it first. This is just to quickly prevent any incompatibility with the older systems, as it's quite intensive and some PCs don't like running it. Overall, I think the Function 2 is a massive step up in quality and performance over the original and just feels much more premium. Whether gaming or typing, this keyboard is a joy to use, and the 1mm actuation point is very nice, and although I'd usually look for a brown tactile switch keyboard, the linear opticals have been a pleasant surprise. Going from the panda colours to an all white or all black makes the RGB much more vibrant, and I think the original Function RGB just looks a little bit bad in comparison, rather like an old Christmas tree. Plus I think the all white keyboard is just absolutely stunning. All white desk setup, anyone? The only downside that I found that I want to mention is to be careful swapping the switches, especially with the white versions, as it's easy to scratch the aluminium or aluminum top, something that I did do when demoing the swapping. Personally, the full size keyboard is the one for me, although I can use the smaller one without discomfort, something which I've struggled on with other mini TKL keyboards. At launch, the full size Function 2 will be $139, then the mini TKL will be $129, which I think is fairly reasonable for how solid they feel, plus with the amount of features they offer compared to the competitors. If you have any more questions about these, then please leave them in the comments box below and I'll get back to you. The links for these will be in the description box if you want to pick one up. If you enjoyed the video and haven't already, please subscribe and ding the bell. Big thanks to NZXT for sending these out for me to review. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.